Chosen one, stop scrolling. Because this message is about to explain a pain you've carried for years, but never fully understood. And if you're honest, this pain changed you. Not just emotionally, spiritually, mentally, even physically. Because somewhere along the way, you noticed a pattern that kept repeating in your life. People come close to you. They make you feel safe. They make you feel seen. They make you believe maybe this connection will finally last. And then suddenly, they leave. Or they change. Or they grow distant. Or they stop loving you the way they once did. And every single time it happens, it destroys something inside you. Chosen one, why does everyone leave once you get attached? Why does it always seem like the moment your heart becomes fully invested, everything falls apart? Why do people pull away right when you finally start trusting them? Why does love always feel temporary for you? Tonight, we're going deeper than surface-level advice. Because the answer is not as simple as, you chose the wrong people. This wound goes deeper than that. And by the end of this message, you're going to understand something about yourself that may completely change the way you love forever. Chosen one, the first truth you need to hear is this. Not everybody leaves because you are hard to love. But after enough abandonment, that's exactly what your mind starts believing. Isn't it? You start blaming yourself for every goodbye. Maybe I was too emotional. Maybe I cared too much. Maybe I became too attached. Maybe I expected too much. Maybe I wasn't enough to make them stay. And slowly, rejection becomes identity. That's the dangerous part. Because heartbreak hurts. But repeated heartbreak rewires the way you see yourself. After enough people leave, you stop asking, why did they leave? And you start asking, what's wrong with me? Chosen one, listen carefully now. That question has been poisoning your spirit for years. Because you were never meant to carry every person's inability to love properly as proof that you are unlovable. Some people leave because they are emotionally immature. Some leave because they fear intimacy. Some leave because they only loved the attention you gave them, not the responsibility of loving you deeply in return. But wounded hearts personalize abandonment. And your heart has been wounded for a long time. Chosen one, let's tell the truth tonight. You don't just fear people leaving. You expect it. That's why attachment feels so painful for you. Because the moment you start loving someone, anxiety quietly enters the relationship too. Not always visibly. Not dramatically. Quietly. You begin overthinking small changes in their energy. You notice delayed replies. You analyze tone changes. You panic when they become distant for even a short time. And deep inside, a voice starts whispering. They're going to leave too. Chosen one, this is not weakness. This is what abandonment does to the nervous system. It trains your heart to expect loss even in moments of love. And eventually, relationships stop feeling safe. Even healthy love feels terrifying because your spirit no longer trusts stability. That's why some of you sabotage connections without realizing it. Not because you want love to fail, but because losing people hurts so deeply that your mind tries protecting you before abandonment can happen again. So you test people emotionally. You become distant first. You pretend not to care. You hold back emotions. You overanalyze everything. Because vulnerability no longer feels safe to you. Chosen one, hear me carefully. You were not born afraid of attachment. Life taught you that fear. And some of your deepest wounds were created by people you trusted the most. People who promised forever. People who made you feel chosen. People who looked you in the eyes and made you believe they would never become another heartbreak story. And then one day, they became exactly that. A heartbreak story. Chosen one. The reason this pain cuts so deeply is because you do not love casually. When you attach emotionally, you attach fully. You remember details. You become loyal. You emotionally invest completely. You carry people in your heart deeply. That's why losing connections affects you more than it affects most people. You don't know how to half love. And honestly, that's beautiful. But it also means your heart gets damaged heavily when love is not reciprocated properly. Chosen one, another truth God is revealing tonight is this. You often become emotionally attached to potential instead of reality. This is important. Sometimes you fall in love with who someone could become, not who they consistently show themselves to be. You see glimpses of goodness in people and emotionally build an entire future around those glimpses. Meanwhile, reality keeps warning you. The inconsistency, the emotional unavailability, the lack of effort, the mixed signals. But because your heart craves deep connection so badly, you ignore the warnings and hold on to hope instead. Chosen one, hope without discernment becomes self-destruction. And some people were never emotionally capable of giving you the love you imagined they could. The truth hurts. Because your spirit kept trying to pull loyalty out of emotionally unavailable people. And every failed attempt reinforced your abandonment wound deeper. But hear this carefully now. Not everybody who leaves is proof that you failed. Sometimes people leave because they are not aligned with your future anymore. Sometimes removal is protection. Sometimes God removes people because your attachment to them was stronger than your connection to your own peace. Chosen one, some relationships were draining your spirit while you were calling it love. That's hard to admit. Because when you love deeply, you naturally fight hard for connections. You try understanding people endlessly. You make excuses for their behavior. You tolerate emotional inconsistency longer than you should. But because abandonment made you terrified of giving up on people. You know how painful it feels to be left, so you try not to leave anyone else. Even when staying destroys your mental health. Chosen one, this is why boundaries became difficult for you. You confuse boundaries with rejection. Deep inside, part of you fears that saying no, walking away, or protecting your peace will make you become cold or unloving. But protecting your spirit is not cruelty. It's wisdom. God never asked you to destroy yourself emotionally just to keep people comfortable. And some of you are emotionally exhausted because you've spent years overextending yourself for people who never intended to stay permanently anyway. Chosen one, let's go even deeper now. One reason attachment hurts you so intensely is because love became connected to survival in your nervous system. This started earlier than you realize. Some of you grew up feeling emotionally unseen. Some grew up fighting for affection. Some experienced inconsistent love during childhood. And when love feels inconsistent early in life, your spirit begins chasing emotional security desperately later in life. That's why attention feels addictive to you sometimes. Not because you're weak. Because emotionally neglected hearts often mistake temporary attention for genuine love. Chosen one, your inner child still fears abandonment. That's why certain goodbyes feel unbearable. They reactivate old emotional wounds that existed long before the current relationship. And every time someone leaves, it confirms a painful belief inside you. Nobody stays. But God says that belief is not your truth. It's your trauma speaking. And trauma lies. Trauma tells you everybody will abandon you eventually. Trauma tells you attachment always ends painfully. Trauma tells you you'll never experience safe love. But healing changes what your spirit accepts as normal. Chosen one, you are entering a season where God is teaching you the difference between attachment and alignment. This is important. Attachment says, I need this person or I'll fall apart. Alignment says, if this connection is meant for me, it will bring peace, growth, honesty, and stability. Attachment is driven by fear. Alignment is guided by wisdom. And for years, fear has controlled the way you loved. Fear of losing people. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being replaced. Fear of not being enough. But God says love built on fear will always create anxiety. Real love does not constantly make you beg for reassurance. Real love does not leave you emotionally confused every day. Real love does not punish vulnerability. Chosen one, stop romanticizing emotional inconsistency. Some of the people you became most attached to were never truly emotionally available to begin with. You simply became addicted to trying to earn the love they struggled to give consistently. That's not love. That's emotional survival mode. And God is healing you from that cycle now. Chosen one, another reason people leave after you get attached is because attachment changes your energy. At first, you appear calm and independent. But once you emotionally invest deeply, fear begins controlling your behavior quietly. You become hyper-aware, emotionally dependent, overly focused on the relationship. And sometimes, people feel the pressure of your fear before you even realize you're carrying it. This does not make you too much. It simply means your wounds still need healing, because healed love feels secure. It doesn't constantly panic about abandonment. Chosen one, God is not exposing these truths to shame you. He's exposing them to free you, because your heart deserves peace. Not constant anxiety, not emotional chasing, not confusion disguised as love. And the moment you stop abandoning yourself to keep other people, everything changes. You stop settling for half-hearted love. You stop chasing emotionally unavailable people. You stop over-explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. Chosen one, some people left because they were assignments, not destinations. They were meant to teach you lessons, not stay forever. And yes, that hurts. But every painful goodbye forced your spirit to grow stronger, wiser, and more discerning. You are not the same person you were after your first heartbreak. Pain changed your vision. Now you notice red flags faster. Now you value peace more. Now you realize chemistry alone is not enough for healthy love. That is growth. Chosen one, stop blaming your heart for loving deeply. Your ability to love is not the problem. The problem was giving permanent loyalty to temporary people. And now God is teaching you discernment before attachment. No more ignoring warning signs because someone feels familiar emotionally. No more attaching to people who trigger your wounds instead of healing them. No more sacrificing your peace just to avoid loneliness. Because loneliness is painful, but losing yourself trying to keep somebody is even more painful. Chosen one, hear this clearly tonight. Not everybody you love will stay. That's reality. But the right people will not constantly make you feel disposable. The right people will communicate. They will stay consistent. They will protect your heart instead of playing with it. And most importantly, healthy love will not constantly activate your abandonment wounds. It will help heal them. Chosen one, God says your season of emotionally chasing unavailable people is ending. You are learning your worth now. You are learning that love should not feel like emotional survival. And slowly, your heart is beginning to understand something powerful. You do not need to beg for what is genuinely meant for you, because real love stays willingly. And before you leave tonight, listen carefully. If this message touched your spirit, comment below. Real love will find me. I want to know who is finally breaking free from abandonment wounds, emotional chasing, and painful attachment cycles. And if this message spoke directly to your heart, subscribe now. Because this channel is for chosen ones healing emotionally, spiritually, and mentally together. Chosen one day you will experience a kind of love that does not constantly make you fear losing it. And when that day comes, you will finally understand this truth. The people who left were not proof that you were unlovable. They were proof that not everybody was meant to carry your heart forever.